Turn this off, right? Guys, 1 second. Turn this off here. 1 second, guys. All right, I think that's enough. The intro. I dug that intro up, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Future of Farming today. Welcome here. My name is Jim Kurtz, as always, and hopefully you enjoyed the intro. We shot that intro actually a couple of years ago, and I dug it up and I was cleaning out my files and stuff. And I thought, oh man, I was wondering what happened to this video, and it was kind of cool just to watch, the different installations we went out on. It's been a little while since we took a road trip out here to North Florida, where most of those farms are shot. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I'm kind of putting everything together again today. It's a little bit crazy here today. There's been a lot of appointments, talking to a lot of farmers. Got a rainstorm hitting through our office here, but thank you so much for joining us here on the Future of Farming today. And today I really just want to discuss with you, what is it that you guys are running into? We had a really great discussion with a consultant in Italy who manages over 10,000 hectares of apples and grapes and wineries. And of course, we're going to be jumping on board with them here next year. And another person who we contacted a couple of years ago, Mr. Bobby Hunter of the former Harlem Globetrotters, who has been working with us to try to open up certain countries in Africa and get some installations and some of our technology into the farmers that really need it over there. So we reconnected with him, and it looks like that project's finally moving forward too. So, it just goes to show, if you have the right intention and the right amount of purpose and the right amount of drive, and you keep working hard at it, your dreams will come true. And I know that sounds cliche and kind of cheesy, but our mission has always been to help farmers around the world. And of course, it's not been an easy job. I'm not going to lie, guys. It's not been easy to try to introduce this technology to the market, because even though we get great results, even though the technology produces phenomenal results, it's a little tricky. Farmers are a little skeptical. They've heard it all before. They've heard people make big claims and not deliver before. And so I've been hit with snake oil and Star Trek and all these crazy things many times. But the bottom line is, if you do really have the product, and you really work hard and you stay true to yourself and stay true to your mission, I think you'll accomplish big things. And that's really what we're doing here with Harvest Harmonics. And it's not all about us and patting ourselves on the back. It's really a matter of working together hand in hand with farmers to help you guys produce the best quality crops possible, and hopefully help put some more money in your pocket, like many of those farmers we just showed you in the intro there. So without further ado, I want to not keep this too cryptic. If you guys are joining us for the first time, I want to welcome you. If you guys have watched this presentation before and you have questions from before, or something still didn't make sense, please put your questions in the chat, put your questions on the Facebook comment section if you're watching this on a recording. We want to really get with you and make sure we answer your question, because this is a new technology. Okay, this is not a fertilizer. It's not a chemical. It's not something that's been around for 20, 30, 50 years. Okay, this is a completely new concept and a completely new approach to improving plant health. And when we go through this, I want to make sure that the concepts really make sense, because again, it's when you're looking at something that you're not maybe used to or not familiar with, it can be kind of a little bit tricky to understand. And we want to make sure we answer all those questions. So if you have questions, put them in the chat, put them in the on the comments, and I'll be sure to answer your questions as I go. But with all that said, let me go into really what it is we're here to discuss, really what this future of farming is all about. And with that, we'll get going here. So our company has launched this product a couple of years ago, the end of 2019, and we kind of launched it against all odds, if you really want to think about it, because here we are in 2019, and we've been working already in the research and development phase for about 5 years. But in 2019, we were kind of faced with this wall of obstacles, right? And the obstacles were very simple. We're a new company that nobody had ever heard of. We had a new product that nobody had ever heard of, a new technology that drives that product, which nobody had ever heard of, a new branch of science that really hasn't been used in this way before. And of course, to top it all out, to make everything even better, the cherry on the sundae, if you will, COVID hit last year. So all of our scientific research got delayed by a year. So in spite of all of that, we stayed true to our mission, which we see here on the screen, is really to help farmers around the world grow healthier, better quality crops at lower costs with higher yields and without harming the environment. That's really our mission. That's what we're here for. And if you're in a business just to make money, those types of barriers that I just mentioned are going to shut you down. You're going to give up and you're going to go do something else. But if you have a higher mission and a higher purpose like we do, you're willing to walk through fire to make sure that you're delivering on that goal. Now, what is the basis of this technology that I mentioned? Well, the technology itself is based upon a concept that the inventor knew a long time ago. And that is that every living thing on this planet operates according to a frequency. Now, that may sound a little strange, but the reality is, if you think about it, your body operates according to a certain clock. And scientists have been talking about these clocks for many, many years. I mean, you may have heard of terms like circadian rhythms, which is like your internal clock in terms of when you're supposed to go to sleep and when you're supposed to be awake, right? You have your heartbeat, which beats at a consistent 60 to 70 beats per minute if you're healthy. If you're not healthy, that heart might beat at 80 to 100 beats a minute. And you'll start to have health problems if it doesn't beat at that right frequency, because your body is designed to work at a certain frequency. Turns out that plants operate according to that same law, and that is that the metabolism of a plant, or photosynthesis in a plant, operates according to a very specific timing mechanism and frequency. And these methodologies, these systems can be measured using equipment in the realm of biophysics. So biophysics just simply means we're applying the laws of physics to improve or influence biology, in this case, plants. So what is the basis of this technology? Well, the inventor of this technology had studied a wide variety of different plant types, and he discovered that all plants, even different varieties, different types of plants, all operate according to a specific frequency pattern. And that frequency pattern can be measured using his equipment. And he also discovered when he looked at unhealthy plants that metabolism or that frequency pattern was altered and was changed. So for example, when you have a sunflower, like you see here in these pictures, that's under heat stress, its metabolism is going to be altered and it's going to not generate the energy that it should during regular sunlight hours. Now, knowing that, he discovered, he theorizes, what if I can take the frequencies of a healthy plant and introduce it to an unhealthy plant? Is that going to cause the unhealthy plant to regain its vigor? In fact, he thinks it should, because then it should be operating according to the right metabolism. And sure enough, over hundreds of experiments, he proved just that plants, when they're operating at the right frequency pattern, when the metabolism of the plant is operating in alignment with all of its other systems, then that plant will be healthy and produce lots of fruits and vegetables. So his next challenge was, how do I get this to the plant? He was able to program these 3,000 plus frequencies of radio waves into microtransmitters, which look like the size of a small computer chip. And these instructions, or this information, is delivered through the irrigation water. He discovered through research on submarines and even dolphins and whales that water can actually carry radio wave signals long distances with very little power. So he was able to program these transmitters with these 3,000 plus frequencies of radio waves that are exactly in tune with the ideal metabolism of a plant. And when we take and introduce these frequencies to the unhealthy or less healthy plants, it will begin to align and cause the unhealthy plants to start to operate according to its natural frequency. And that works in the very same way that a tuning fork might work in music. So when you use a tuning fork, or if you have a number of clocks that see on a wall, eventually all those clocks are going to synchronize the swing of their pendulum. So the vibrations will synchronize, and the frequencies will cause them all to align. It works the same way in terms of physiology in plants, and that's exactly how our technology works. Now, if this seems strange to you, it's because this is a new technology, like I mentioned. This is not magnets. It's not a water treatment device. We have nothing to do with those technologies. This is a leap forward in terms of our understanding of bioenergetics, or the energy production of biological systems. And this has been used successfully in humans. It's being successfully used in plants around the world. And there's a number of other types of, applications of this type of science. In terms of practical application, how do we install this? How does a farmer actually use this? Well, it's installed onto an irrigation system. Now, if you're using this on a whole field, we have devices that attach to the outside of a pump or water source, like you see on the left. Or if you have a small system or even a garden, we have small pre-made pipe fittings that can be plumbed right into your irrigation line. Now, the two key areas that our system really improves is photosynthesis efficiency and soil health. And I'll get into this in a little more detail here in a second. With better photosynthesis efficiency, what we're seeing is faster, more vigorous growth in the early phases of production. We're seeing better flower and fruit production, and we're seeing better quality fruits and vegetables as well. So let's take a look at some examples of this. The first example we have is a citrus grower who took 1-year-old seedlings and compared that to his neighbor's 2-year-old seedlings. He wanted to see if he can catch them up to where the 2-year-old seedlings were. And after 12 weeks, the 1-year-old seedlings had already outgrown the 2-year-old seedlings and in fact doubled the growth with 100% faster growth rate. And they looked healthier as well. In nursery applications, we've also seen a reduction of growth time from 10 weeks down to 5 weeks, which is 100% faster growth rate than standard plants without the Kiminasi. And you see here in the picture the difference between the Kiminasi plant on the right and the standard control plant or untreated plant on the left. Here we have a picture of a field application, or excuse me, a greenhouse application where we doubled the production of pepper plants in this greenhouse and reduced the pesticide usage to 0 on the treated greenhouse. The agronomist had told us he's never seen that before on his farm, and this was the first in 17 years. Next example was a field test on tomatoes, and we increased the quality of the tomatoes here to the highest quality rating on 100% of the tomatoes of the treated field. That was, again, a huge, huge difference where they were only getting 60 to 70% before. Now they got it all the way up to 100%. In melon production, we've seen a 25% increase in yield on melons, as well as less presence of minor flies, so reduction of loss. Now, just to let you guys know, in some cases, we're not necessarily seeing gigantic leaps in yield, but we are seeing reduction of insects to the point where the farmer's sellable yield is actually increasing by 20, 30, 40%, even though he's growing the same amount of produce. So it could be a huge, huge difference there if you have severe insect or disease or fungus problems in your crops. Next example here was artichokes. In artichoke production, we saw a 27% increase in yield there with less nematodes in the soil. In squash, we've seen more vigorous growth. Now, these squash plants were 5 feet off the ground, 4 feet off the ground. When we walked through the field, they were literally waist high. Now, typically in squash, you'll see them slink along the ground, and the leaves might come up like maybe a foot off the ground. And otherwise, they just keep growing in a lateral direction. These squash plants kept growing. The leaves were pushing up 3-4 feet off the ground. They were waist high. In fact, we have videos on our YouTube channel that show that. It's pretty amazing to watch. In grapevines, we've seen reduced mite infestations from 48% of the untreated fields down to less than 10% of the treated fields. Again, this particular grower was losing about 30% of his yield due to these mites. And now he's cut that to almost 0. So the interesting thing about that is, imagine if you're growing, 20 tons per acre, and you're losing 30% of that. That might be 8 tons. If you're losing, $600-700 a ton or $500 a ton, that's probably $3,000 or $4,000 an acre that you're losing with insects and other problems. Well, you're not going to lose that with Kiminasi because our plants are healthy and the insects and diseases are not a problem. Here's another example of that, where we saw a 20% increase in overall production on eggplant in India, and we saw a reduction of insects. From the left here, we see a ton of insect damage throughout the leaves. To the right, we see almost 0 insect damage. We're seeing more yield in a number of cases too. Now, we've shown you some examples here, but this particular example was the largest asparagus grower in South America, and he got a 49% increase in yield there. A 26.7% yield increase in a National Agrarian University trial, where we got 12 tons per hectare more watermelon out of the Kiminasi field than the control. On pepper plants, again, we saw 18% increases there in the overall production with highest quality ratings there. In lime production, we've seen 55% increases in yield there. And I can just go on and on. I mean, potato production, 32% increase there, 33% increase in yield on lentils. And all this would be great if it was just a matter of increasing yield, but we're seeing better quality also. Here we show 25% increase in yield on these cherries, but the cherries were bigger, they were juicier, and they were sweeter. And as a result, he was able to sell them for $1 more per kilogram versus his normal cherries. So when you combine the 25% yield increase and the extra money he got, he made almost $47,000 per hectare on his cherries with Kim and Hasi. This plum grower reported a 5% increase in overall Brix rating as well as bigger fruit size in just 4 weeks of application. This blueberry grower got a 10% increase in size with a better Brix to acidity ratio, meaning sweeter fruit. And again, he made almost $12,500 per hectare on his blueberries. Here we have a 56% increase in overall exportable blueberries. This particular farmer had a problem with the sweetness and tartness of his blueberries were too much to export. And after using Kim and Hasi, he was able to get them exportable. And this farmer increased his Brix by 6 points without fertilizing his grapevine. So huge difference there without any fertilization, which is pretty amazing. We've also seen dramatic improvements in soil health here. What we're seeing is better soil conductivity, better microbial activity in the soil, and better water infiltration and retention in the soil as well. That, of course, translates into a reduction in overall water usage and a better tolerance to salty or brackish water. Let's take a look at some examples here. This was a soil test where we showed reduction in soil conductivity from 2.3, which was considered very high, to 1.7, which was considered medium or average. And likewise, in sodium content, we went from a higher rating of 1.1 down to a standard average rating of 0.6. And this particular farmer noted that he saw better water penetration into the soil, where we got down to a depth of 100 centimeters after 12 weeks of watering, where previously he couldn't get it beyond 40. And that reduced his overall irrigation time from 12 hours to about 9 hours, which saved him about 66% of his water overall during the course of the year. This farmer saw a 46% reduction in water with a 30% increased production on his walnut trees. And really the picture just shows the difference there between the health of the trees. On the left, you see very, very unhealthy salt damaged trees, and on the right, very, very healthy trees once again. So just to give you guys a quick summary here, we're regularly obtaining 20% and more increases in production with better fresh weight, more number of fruits. In terms of quality readings, we're seeing better Brix in the fruit, better overall quality, better shelf life with less damage. And in terms of the growth rate, we're seeing faster, more vigorous growth, better resistance against insects and disease. And of course, with the soil, we're seeing better microbial activity, which handles a number of different problems. At the end of the day, guys, we've been using this over the last 2 years and getting amazing results. We've got about 600 farms currently using it as the time of I record this, but more and more guys are just jumping on board every day. And by the end of next year, 2022, we fully expect to have well underway of our 1,000 science trials of universities around the world, and probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of farms using the Kim and Hasi plant booster. And in reality, guys, it's just a matter of time before everybody finds out about this and people see that we are the real deal. We are producing the results that we claim. And no matter where you are in the world, we can definitely help you. So with that, I want to just open it up for some questions. What questions do you guys have that I can answer for you? Is it a technical question? Is it a question about results? Anything like that? If you can type them in the chat or put them in the Facebook feed, I would love to answer them for you. And I'm going to stop my screen share there and just say, anybody got any questions here? Let me open it up. All right. A few people saying hi. Can this technology help in drought conditions? The answer is yes, it can. What we're seeing again is reduction of water usage. So by making the plant or the tree more efficient in terms of how it utilizes water, it does two things. Number one, it reduces the amount of water needed because you don't need to just saturate your soil and have the soil be full of water. And number two, the plants will be able to improve its use of water so that it doesn't respirate as much water out of the leaves and other structures, and it's able to maintain its health. And that, of course, also keeps its photosynthesis engine going so that it continues to produce energy throughout the whole year. That's all I got on that one. Anybody here in the chat got a question for me here? Let me see who we got here. Emma, Gemma, or Maria, any questions there? I'll just open it up for you guys. Not seeing any questions here. Either I'm doing a really good job of describing this, or maybe you guys are shy, and that's fine. Guys, if you want to ask some questions, or you want a one-on-one consultation, definitely let me know. We can actually you can actually go here. I got one more question. Does it need a power source? The answer to that is no. No power source is required. It's a completely self-contained unit. So all you do is literally plumb this onto your system and water your crops, and this thing will last for 2 years before it need to be replaced. So it's kind of like a battery in that way. It will last for 2 years, and then you need to replace it after that. But if you do want to see a one-on-one consultation, or you want more information, you can call us 727-324-6750. You can also email us at service@harvestharmonics.com, or you can fill us out on the web, fill out one of our request forms on the web at www.harvestharmonics.com. We want to work with everybody we can, and of course, we want to help you become part of the future of farming today. So if that's of interest to you, if you want to take giant leaps forward in terms of your farm and your productivity and the quality of produce you're growing, please join us and become part of the future of farming today. Again, we fully expect tens of thousands of people to be using this in a very short period of time. And you want to be one of the first guys. You don't want to be one of the last guys to the party, where everybody else has already been seeing tremendous results and making money, and you're last. If you haven't had a chance to take advantage of that, then you're going to lose out. And we don't want that to happen. So give us a call or send us an email, and let's work together and help you become part of the future of farming today. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow.